Hi, everyone. I guess we registered this masterclass to be in English, right? So that makes sense. Okay. I'm very sorry for my rough voice. I can promise you we're from Munich. I have not attended the Oktoberfest yet, and it's not due to the Oktoberfest. But let's get this started. So, and I'm really excited that so many people are interested in the topic of e-commerce visibility. I brought 4 agenda topics with me, if that's, wrong button. And basically I will shortly introduce myself. I don't like marketing or sales pitches, so we'll jump right into the topic. That means we're talking about the fundamental trends that are currently shaping the markets. And I think this is quite important to understand. We will then talk about e-commerce visibility and Amazon ads, because I believe that this is closely related in the end. Okay, short introduction. This is me, I'm Stefan. I'm more than 15 years in the e-commerce industry, and I'm responsible for lots of marketing, lots of sales topics, and since some years I'm also responsible at Metoda for our solution and product portfolio. So I learned quite a lot since 2020. I have some interests. One is data analytics, so I'm a bit nerdy. Please excuse me. And I really love the stock market, and I feel this is quite an interesting combination in the end. Okay, I founded Metoda more than 10 years ago. We had a huge evolution since then. So we started with, our core idea was to support the retail industry with data, because we saw back then that Amazon is conquering all markets with data, with analytics, and with automation, especially in the area of pricing and sourcing. And we wanted to be the sparring partner for all the retailers out there to be as successful as Amazon. Unfortunately, Amazon became bigger and bigger, so we also decided to shift the focus a little bit and work directly with brands. And because we felt it's now the age of direct to consumer, and we started to work with Amazon and not basically against Amazon. We developed tools and technologies and insights around Amazon. For example, we developed an own Amazon ads technology for managing Amazon ads. But we also learned in the past years that these data and the insights that we provide are quite complex, and it's way better if you also have the experts at hand. So we decided around about 3 years ago to also build a strong agency service around our tools to fully leverage the potential that we can provide. Just one last word on us. So we have 3 values from the very beginning that drive success together. And I feel that, so drive, every company owner wants to have drive in the company. Every manager wants to have drive in the team. Success, everyone wants to have success, obviously. But I feel that this together value is something that distinguishes us a lot. Because for us, it's you can only be successful with your customers if you work together. And that's for us a principle that is not only part of our culture, but also part of the collaboration with our customers. So I think the biggest distinction between all other agencies that are out there is simply that we started with our tech and data and DNA and evolved into some kind of an agency. I skipped that slide. We don't have much time. I also skipped that one. It's everything that I said already. And I want to jump into the fundamental trends. And what is quite interesting, I researched before, when I was preparing this talk here, I was researching all of our old master classes that we've held and all of our past user conference materials and so on. And I found 3 theses that we stated around about 5 years ago. So first of all, we said there is no alternative to e-commerce. And yes, 5 years ago, lots of companies still were ignoring the power of e-commerce, still focused very much on their traditional retail network. We also said that platforms will win the race against retail, which unfortunately happened, or in some areas very massively. And we also said And this is something that's a bit more complex, but global D2C, so global direct to consumer, which is basically possible through these platforms, will threaten local brands. And this is also happening. And I just want to quickly jump through all of these theses and just talk about the current state, that we have a common basis to talk about e-commerce visibility. So, first of all, I guess that's not a question. E-commerce is still growing. And I feel it's quite impressive that e-commerce is globally still growing at such a high pace. So it's still growing and conquering market share from the whole retail industry. This is also happening in Europe and in the US. And I was personally quite surprised that the US is still growing so fast and still winning so much share of the total retail sales. But according to this data, we're still seeing e-commerce growth in all major markets. And that also means that if we talk about Amazon, because that's one of the companies we work with quite a lot, are still increasing in terms of relevance. So it means their market share is still growing. So there are different data that you can find, but in the US, Amazon is expected to be around 40%, owning 40% of the e-commerce market. In Germany, there are different numbers, and they are a bit older, but also here we see way more than 40% probably is owned by Amazon, which is definitely huge. But I also wanted to bring a bit more recent data, and I found the ECC Köln, which is not far away from here, has published this or last week some insights on marketplaces and shopping behavior, also in the brick and mortar area. And the first finding they had is that Amazon, some years ago, Amazon was named as the #1 product search engine. I'm not sure if you heard about that. But this report, which is absolutely brand new, now states that this is still the case. So, and if you think about your own shopping behavior, I guess every one of us is looking at Amazon before buying a product. It doesn't matter if you're buying it in brick and mortar business or if you're buying it online. So first of all, it's a source of information. And secondly, and this is quite interesting, they asked also in this survey, how often, or have you ever ordered on one of these marketplaces, and how often do you order? And I think what's quite interesting that more than 90% of the people they surveyed ordered at least once in their lifetime on Amazon, which is quite a huge amount of people. And 57% of the people order on Amazon at least once a month, which is pretty impressive, but this is showing how deeply connected we're all with Amazon and with the Amazon platform and ecosystem. Just to state two other very interesting data in here. So we see now more newcomers in this report, like Shein and Temu. Especially Temu is quite interesting at the moment. I guess you've all heard about this, but this is not the focus of this talk, unfortunately maybe. Okay, we also took a look at our data, and that was for, so all these slides will be shared. So if you want to take photos, you can, but I'm also happy to share it with you. We have a user conference happening once a year, and we analyzed the market before the user conference, and we took a look at what are the sales trends across all major Amazon categories. It started in 2020 in the beginning, and it's going up to the first quarter of 2023. And we see three different patterns on Amazon. So there are categories that are increasing in sales still, which is quite impressive after this Corona peak. And this is beauty, drugstore, and pet supplies. And here you really see again that Amazon is a huge part of now of our daily habit, our daily shopping habit. Then you see on a very high level stagnating categories. And this is the majority of the Amazon categories, but they own a huge share here. And there's one category we could find that is decreasing, and that's sports. And I think, so I'm not sure who's from sports industry, but I know that some companies really struggle at the moment, like biking companies and some others, because lots of people during COVID bought lots of these sports equipments, and now there's simply the demand is going down. And that's with high forecasts into this year, the companies simply have a challenge. Okay. And there's other things happening. So the platforms are on the rise, and they will, I'm sure, this is the term platform economy. That means in the end, platform are ruling basically the relationship to the users. And what we also see, that's sad news obviously, but we see more and more bankruptcies in the retail industries. And I'm not a pessimist or something like that, but it's simply fact, and we will simply see more of that. That's quite likely. Okay, and last but not least, the last thesis that we stated. So D2C brands or new brands will simply emerge, and they will use these platforms as door to consumers. And this is quite interesting. This is an analysis that we conduct on a regular basis. So we take a look at what are the most visible brands on Amazon and on what keywords do the products appear. And what we now see, that was an analysis for Kühlschränke, so fridges. And you probably know lots of the bigger brands from the brick and mortar industries, like Siemens maybe, like LG. But if you take a look at the listing here of the most visible brands on Amazon, this was an analysis from August. You will see that the top visible brand now is Berlin Brands Group. Does anyone know Berlin Brands Group? Very good, very good. Okay, this is behind the Berlin Brands Group are lots of different brands. This one here in the fridges area is Klarstein. Maybe you've heard about Klarstein. But these new brands, here's also Stillstern, which I honestly haven't heard about before. These are now conquering the visibility in the marketplaces. And that means they are growing, and they are also pushing more pressure on the existing brands. Okay, and the other fact is, which I think is quite interesting, what is now happening is, so Shein is disrupting the fashion industry. That's why we see bankruptcies also in there. But there's a new trend coming, and I talked to a friend during COVID, what is the next trend? And I said, maybe it could be factory to consumer. And the funny thing is that this year Temu came out and is pushing exactly not seller models through marketplaces. They are now going from the factory to the consumer, and they are disrupting again some industries here. So that means, guys, all the brands out there need to really care about staying visible, staying relevant, and so on. And that's why we come to e-commerce visibility now. And this is very straightforward. So why do you want to be visible? In the end, you want to be visible to get traffic, and then you want to get sales. This is how a business or a customer journey or a customer funnel works. You have the click-through rate in between and the conversion rate if we're staying online. And if I talk about visibility, I'm not talking about social at the moment. I know this is also a huge topic, but I'm more talking about, let's say, the performance side of this, so being visible in the search, and also at tackling audience targeting or using audience targeting to extend reach. And so obviously search visibility means Amazon and all the e-commerce platforms, but it also means Google. And it doesn't matter if it's organic visibility or paid visibility. Some people also distinguish here. But for me, at the moment, it means you have to be somehow visible in the search. And also, is it branded or generic? That's also part of this strategy. The most important thing here of a company is to know the keywords that are really critical, and typically it's not a lot, and know the competitors. And we have the other area, the audience visibility. We have very classical, we have very classical audiences, which you can get from Google, from Meta, so like geography, like location, like devices and technology. But I'm also talking about consumer audiences, and that's why we feel quite comfortable in working with Amazon or Amazon Ads here, because they have way better audiences to my perspective, because they know the consumer best. And this is independent of what channel you're using, But I definitely believe, as a business owner, I believe you have to know your audience. This is like personas in product management. You have to know it, and this is a strategic asset if you know your audience well. Okay, I want to put up this belief here and shortly talk about it. So lots of people that I talk to say audience visibility means brand awareness, and this is absolutely wrong. And I just brought one case study with me, which comes from last Prime Day, so Prime Day 2022. And because we try to, if we know that there's a company with a strong product portfolio, we try to use both sponsored ads in the Amazon area and DSP. And sometimes we are not really focused on pushing the sponsored ads, so the search part a lot, but we're focused on pushing the DSP side a lot when there's these high season shopping times coming. And I think it's quite impressive what might happen. So we didn't increase the budget in sponsored ads, but we went up 40% with the DSP budgets. We saw a 200% uplift in the DSP revenue, but still 50% up in the sponsored ad side. And in total, that means that the return of the campaigns, sponsored ads, just increased by around about 50–60%, but the return of DSP campaigns increased by 120%. And I think this is also the power that a combination between audience and search marketing in the end has. So let's move a bit on. So we talked about paid and organic visibility, which is in the end making up the upper part of this funnel. But to be successful in e-commerce, and I would even say in all industries, you really need to understand the retail readiness or the readiness of your products, because they need to convert. And if you're in the e-commerce area, typically there are links to click-through rate as well, and links to organic and paid visibility as well, because there are different factors that platforms really like. So you're getting pushed on all the other parts of visibility as well. And we talked already about approaching this a bit strategically and knowing your products well. So what we typically recommend is to work with some kind of a structure, a strategic approach that is clustering and classifying your product portfolio. And this is a very classic one that also Amazon is recommending. I'm not saying that you have to adapt it, but I just want to show you how companies approach it more strategically. So we have these question mark products, the stars, the cash cows, and the poor dogs. And in the end, it's about defining a strategy, an advertising strategy for each of these quadrants. I will not go into details. This will be shared later on, but I wanted to bring some customer examples that you can read through it later on if you're interested and simply see how other companies simply approach it. Okay, so for us, it's working simply smart and being focused. Yeah, that's a bit, marketing stuff, but in the end, you should be clear about the targets, you should define the strategies, you should know the retail readiness of your products and maintain the retail readiness continuously. Then you should leverage the products with advertising and in the end, monitor and continuously optimize it. And it's a loop which is continuously running. Okay, let's now come to Amazon Ads. And also a statement in the beginning. So lots of people believe that Amazon is mainly a retailer. I think everyone here in this audience probably doesn't believe it, but lots of private people I talk to believe it. And I believe Amazon is everything else but a retailer now. So you have AWS, which they are really strong at. You have the Amazon ads area, which they are also doing a great job. And what is really fascinating, how quickly they emerged from more a niche advertising channel to now be one of the top 5 advertising channels in the world. And you see their speed. This is, where is this one? You see their speed is really amazing. So they are shortly before taking over Alibaba as the top 3. And my bet would be in the next 5 years, they will challenge the duopoly with Meta and Google. And there's unfortunately a bad news. We started in 2017 to work with Amazon Ads, and back then it was a fantastic, really a fantastic marketing channel. So we saw returns that were amazing. But that changed a lot in the past years, and we're running analysis. We're just taking the financial report of Amazon, and we're just taking a look at the return of, or the overall revenue of Amazon, and the revenue Amazon is generating with Amazon Ads. And if you just combine this a little bit, you will find out that the return is heavily decreasing. So with the pandemic, the return decreased massively by about 40%. So before the pandemic, we saw an average return of estimated 10. We are now at an estimated return of an average Amazon campaign of 6. And that means even more that you have to think about your setup, your structure, your strategies, and your whole optimization process. And one thing is nevertheless clear. You have to somehow be strong in the search of Amazon, because the statistics tell they are the top number of product search channel and information channel on one hand. So you should definitely own the search somehow. But Amazon made a very ugly trick. So they started to convert more and more of these placements in the search into sponsored placements. So obviously you need to combine organic and paid strategies here. But lots of statistics tell that it's worse, because most of the people simply click on the first products. I wanted to bring some data also from our study from August, just to show a little bit how the industries look like. And this is for tier footer, so pet food. And what we can see here, I think the top brands are not so surprising. So they are the same brands as we probably know from brick and mortar. Mars, Nestle, and some others are really the top brands. What I think is quite interesting to take a look at is something we call keyword fingerprint. And what we try to analyze is what are the top keywords in a category, and then in the end take a look at what are the brands that are really visible on these keywords, and is there potential to improve, paid or organically. And the same analysis we did for Hautpflege, but I don't want to jump into the details. I just wanted to share with you a little bit of insights of what you can do with data. And in the end, everyone who's interested in this data will get this analysis for free. Just approach me later on. Okay, so the second topic, so if we talk about trends for next year, there's one topic that I believe is a very strong trend besides social. I believe social is really strong, but I told you in the beginning this is not the focus. So I believe one of the hot topics is the DSP from Amazon, because the DSP today already solved the problem or gave you access to audiences that are deep in the customer funnel, and you can use these audiences to bring traffic to your product detail pages on Amazon. But what most people don't know, and actually I would say 99% of the people, probably even here on this event, Amazon is offering you also possibilities to use this audience in link out campaigns. And I feel that quite like the next year, when we think about more and more how to increase the return of campaigns, but we see the power of the audiences that Amazon brings, there will be more and more companies making use of Amazon audiences in link out campaigns to get the traffic to your own websites and stores. And this is, I believe, even interesting for service companies and lots of other companies, because you in the end don't give the customer to Amazon, but you have the possibility to bring it to your own site and to own the customer relationship in the end. So I feel strategically this is a very nice topic. Did I forget anything? I don't think so. And that's why, I forgot to talk about the DSP, but I hope everyone is a bit of aware of what the DSP is. You can read it later on if you want. And I just want to finish with some questions that I would ask myself if I'm planning now for 2024 or maybe also for Q4. So first of all, is your brand or your company visible? And I said it in the beginning, that's especially the search. And that means especially covering your brand, because if you're not covering your brand, other people will simply use your brand to win market shares. It also means defending your product pages. Quite straightforward, I guess, especially for stars and cash cow products. This is the first question you should hopefully make a check. The second is, are you generating incremental sales? And we're now in a world that is heavily under pressure. All industries are under pressure at the moment, I would say, and everyone is really fearing this next 18 to 24 months. So it means even more, you have to think about, can I somehow efficiently get incremental sales for my business? It means understanding the generic terms that are relevant, and also knowing about the competitor world, pretty much everything that you can attack wherever it makes sense. And thirdly, and I guess today I would say this is now in Germany you say Königsdisziplin. I don't know what this is in English. So the top, I don't know. Yeah, you're the top marketeer if you really play this well. How can you leverage audiences on and off Amazon? And remarketing, the most straightforward case, but how to use in-market segment also for link-out campaigns. And if you do this, I think 2024 and Q4 and everything else will be really successful. Okay, thanks a lot. If you have questions, we have 3 minutes left. And if not, happy to talk to you about anything.